But first, a newly released document reveals the fight a witness saw between Gabby Petito and her fiancé. We certainly thank you for joining us at 11 o'clock. I'm David Ushery. Natalie is off tonight. What for the last 10 days has been a missing person case is now a homicide investigation. After the FBI confirmed the body found in Wyoming is 22-year-old Gabby Petito. The confirmation of her death comes exactly 1 week after family members last spoke to her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, 4 days after police searched Laundrie's Northport, Florida home, and 2 days after investigators discovered Gabby's remains. At the same time, the search for Laundrie continued today in a Florida nature preserve, roughly 2,300 miles from the campground where police found Gabby's body. We've got team coverage in both locations. News 4's Paisy Chang has covered this story in 3 different states. She comes to us live tonight in Northport, Florida. Paisy.
Well, David, now that Brian Laundrie is considered a person of interest in an FBI homicide investigation, well, the search for that missing person has now turned into a search for a man on the run. Tonight, new details of a fight between Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie in Moab, Utah back on August 12th that prompted people to call police. A witness states it appeared that he didn't want her in the white van. He got into the driver's seat and she followed him. At one point, she was punching him in the arm and/or face and trying to get into the van. These details are a stark contrast to their picture-perfect relationship on social media. Something happened on their cross-country trip that led to Gabby's body being found in the Wyoming wilderness.
I feel so bad for her family, and it's just sad. And now he's missing.
When you come back and you don't speak to anyone, it kind of gives it a bad vibe.
From the outset, so many more questions than answers. Gabby no longer had a voice, while Brian and his parents refused to use theirs. The FBI tweeted that Brian Laundrie is a person of interest. Anyone with information concerning Mr. Laundrie's role in this matter or his current whereabouts should contact the FBI.
That changes things considerably.
Former prosecutor Alfredo Garcia believes the search for Brian will now be ramped up.
You don't no longer have a suspect in a missing persons case, but rather now you have a suspect in homicide.
Since Friday, police in Florida have been searching the vast Carlton Reserve for any sign of Brian. His parents told police he went hiking there last Tuesday, and they hadn't heard from him since.
Terrain's very difficult. Essentially, 75% of it's underwater. We're expecting to get wet by the end of the day and check the entire area for Brian Laundrie.
Dozens of officers entered the nature preserve in all-terrain vehicles. Inside, they used canines and drones to search the area. Video from a water boat on the outskirts of the Carlton Reserve shows just how dense the area is, but police concluded their search tonight without finding much. And when asked if the Laundrie family had a statement in regards to the fact that Gabby died by homicide, their attorney responded by saying, "May Gabby rest in peace." Now, for more in this story, we're going to turn to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, where my colleague Sarah Wallace has more on the investigation into Gabby Petito's death.
The coroner's findings are what many suspected. Gabby Petito died here in Wyoming at the hands of another. The cause of death, in other words, exactly how she was killed, has not yet been determined. But that also will be critical as this case moves into the next sad chapter. This is the gravel road leading to an isolated campsite in the Wyoming wilderness where visitors say they saw a white van in late August.
But here it is on the left.
And I slowed it down so you can possibly see it a little bit better.
A couple, Jen and Kyle Bethune, camping with their children, posted this video on social media, saying when they heard about Gabby Petito's disappearance and saw pictures of the van she and her fiance had been traveling in, they thought it was time to call the FBI.
We were heading back on this long dirt gravel road.
And we came across a white van that had Florida plates, a small white van. We were going to stop and say hi because we're from Florida too, but the van was completely dark. There was nobody there.
The FBI hasn't said specifically what brought them this past weekend to search the location with other law enforcement teams. But we now know on Sunday they found a body matching Gabby's description. Today, we spotted orange markers all over the rocks, hundreds of yards away from the nearest parking area, the same one where the YouTube couple spotted the van.
You can understand why the search was so challenging. This is a remote part of Bridger-Teton National Forest, and you have to cross Spread Creek to get here. It is very deep in some places.
The question, who left this stone cross along the banks of the creek and when? There are virtually no footprints in the sand. People hearing this tragic story are beginning to come and pay their respects. This couple had noticed the area cordoned off on Monday, not realizing until now what it meant.
We've got three daughters of our own, and it's tough. My heart just aches for her parents.
Just it's sad. We wanted to,
if it was my daughter, I'd want people to come.
It's not yet clear when Gabby's body will be released, but her family has said they will have no further comment until she is back home on Long Island. From Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Sarah Wallace, News 4 New York.
We'll continue to stay on top of this story with live reports from Florida and Wyoming. You can also find round-the-clock coverage on NBCNewYork.com and on the News 4 New York app.